Hello and welcome to our Kinepict knowledge-based podcast. I'm Szabolcs Osváth, the CEO and co-founder of Kinepict. Today we are happy to welcome John and Melinda from P&S International Strategies. Hello Melinda and John, and welcome.
Hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We are happy to be here.
Could you kindly introduce yourselves in a few sentences to our audiences?
Sure. I'm John Parkerson, and I'm an Atlanta native, by the way. In order of relevance, I serve as the Honorary Consul General and Foreign Economic Counselor for Hungary since 2007. I'm also the co-founder with Melinda Setényi of P&S International Strategies here in Atlanta. My main source of income is as an international attorney for a law firm called Hall Booth Smith in Atlanta for the past 11 years or so. And prior to Hall Booth Smith, I was the in-house international legal counsel for Delta Airlines, which is headquartered in Atlanta. That was 15 years. And prior to that, I was 15 years as a U.S. Army officer serving as a legal counsel, where I taught at West Point. I served in the Pentagon, served in the U.S. Embassy in Bonn, Germany, when Bonn was the capital. So that's kind of my own personal introduction. Many ask me why I'm serving as Honorary Consul of Hungary and I'm not Hungarian. I think we may get to that a little bit later in the conversation, but I can explain it. Maybe I should turn this over to Melinda at this point.
Yes. Hi, my name is Melinda Setényi, and then I'm a Hungarian native, adopted American. So I'm a Hungarian-American citizen. I actually grew up in Hungary most of my adult life. Actually, now we are in a half point. I lived as much time in Hungary as much in the US. So it's like a little bit of midway for me, but I'm a co-founder of P&S International Strategies with John, and then before P&S, I was in a corporate world, working in marketing, brand development, brand management, business development, in that area, in different well-known companies in the Atlanta business ecosystem. And then also I'm very entrepreneurial. I have helped several entrepreneurs of starting businesses. So, and then John and I, we actually met through the Hungarian community here in Atlanta, where he serves as an honorary consul. So we always, every get together, we always chit-chatted and then developed the friendship that was like 10, 12 years ago, something in that time. So and then about 2.5, 3 years ago, we sat down and then we were having an interesting discussion about different opportunities, how we can help companies to come and expand in the US market. So this is how P&S was born, and P&S stands for Parkerson and Setényi.
John, you mentioned that you are Honorary Consul General and Foreign Economic Counselor of Hungary. And you said that you could explain longer and it could be interesting. So what does this role entail and what's the story? How did you become this Consul General?
Well, that's, we don't have the time, unfortunately, for me to tell the entire story, but it is kind of an interesting story, I think, at least I hope. It's interesting to me, at least. But about 2006, I was still working at Delta Airlines as in-house legal counsel for International. And one of the business projects for Delta was to establish new routes into Central and Eastern Europe that formerly had been Pan American's routes. Pan American Airlines became bankrupt and Delta purchased those routes in the bankruptcy sale. And one of those routes was between the United States, in this case, New York City, JFK, and Budapest. So about the same time that Delta started looking at that and assessing whether that would be economically viable, I was asked by the state of Georgia to lead a trade mission, the first ever, to Hungary, Romania, and Czech Republic. And when we returned to Atlanta from that short trade mission, all the companies that we'd met that contacted us were Hungarian companies. So it seemed that the Czechs felt that they were pretty well established through other channels in the United States, and the Romanians were not, without reflecting any intentional negativity on the Romanians, they weren't quite ready to do business with us. But the Hungarians were, and they were very eager to pursue the connections that they made with us during that initial trade visit. So naturally, as good citizens of the United States at the time, we invited every Hungarian, every Czech, every Romanian company we met to come visit us in the US. And the only companies that took us up on this were the Hungarians. And one day I was sitting at my desk in Atlanta at Delta Airlines headquarters, my phone rang and it said Embassy of Hungary. And I thought, oh no, what did I do wrong? What did we do in Hungary where the embassy could be calling me? Because no embassy calls my personal office number at Delta Airlines. So I answered the phone, and it was the ambassador of Hungary. He was a new ambassador at the time. And he said, I heard about your mission to Hungary. I heard that Hungarian companies were interested in coming to Atlanta. He said, I'm new here as ambassador in Washington, and I've never been to the Southeast. I've never been to Atlanta. How can I help? I thought, wow, the ambassador is calling me to ask how he can help us connect with Hungarian companies from this trade mission. And as it turned out, we partnered on a reciprocal visit by a group of Hungarian companies and some Hungarian government officials to Atlanta. And about 20 of these individuals from Hungary and from the embassy in Washington, including the ambassador, came to Atlanta. We had a good 3-day program for the Hungarians. And it turned out that the ambassador at the time and I had a lot of common interests. We hit it off on a personal level. He began to invite me to receptions, to events in Washington at the Hungarian embassy and at his residence. And because I worked for Delta Airlines, it was easy for me to go. So I could go and I could come back the same evening without missing a beat at work. So this is how our relationship began. And then Delta made the final decision just after that to actually operate the service, to begin the service between New York, JFK, and Budapest. And of course, as an airline, we needed all the permits that are required to be able to fly that route. And I was sent to Budapest for my first visit. The ambassador went with me, and we met with some government officials there, and we got all the work done together, and it turned out to be a huge success. When Delta had its first flight then to Hungary, I invited the ambassador to come, and he brought an entourage from the embassy in Washington. We cut the ribbons together. We had a big party on one of those boats on the Danube. So it was quite a ceremony, and it was quite successful opening. Actually, the president of Hungary and the prime minister came to our opening reception for the Delta service, which never happened in any other country. On the return flight, the ambassador was sitting next to me on the plane, and he said, you know, this has been very successful. We don't have any representation in the Southeast or in Atlanta. I think we should establish somebody who can help us connect businesses in that region. And the ambassador said, do you know anybody that can do this for us? And I thought, well, let me think, and I'll give you a list of names of people that I think may be interested in this. And he said, no, I want you to do it. And so that's how I became honorary consul of Hungary. That's most of the story. Of course, there are other details that we don't have time to describe here. And what I do is I serve primarily as a trade counselor. Because I don't speak or read Hungarian, unfortunately, I wish I did. I don't do the traditional consular duties like passports, visas, and citizenships, and those kinds of things. We have a staff in the Hungarian embassy in Washington that I refer those questions to, and they provide the relevant advice there. So I'm mostly about assisting trade relationships, assisting in marketing Hungary, and vice versa. In Hungary, I market the region that I represent, and those are the states of Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and a little bit of spillover into South Carolina. So I give basic advice there about the US and the regions in the US, business practices in the United States, and just in general, promoting the visibility of Hungary as a place where US businesses from our region, our Southeast region in the United States, should invest and do business.
Thank you very much. This is a great story. And yes, we already experienced ourselves at Kinepict, your very kind and very professional help for startups who want to reach out towards the US. You're also a teacher, and in the international business, and let me start again. You are also a teacher and an international business attorney at the Hall Smith. So what does this mean, and how can you fit all this into your career?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Some people tell me to get a life, but I really enjoy my business practice, and that is my life, other than my family, and I do have a family. But as I stated earlier, Hall Smith is my primary business practice. I'm part of the international practice group. I help my clients that are a mix of US companies that are doing business outside the United States, but also foreign companies that are interested in doing business in the United States. And in that sense, what I do in my legal practice is I serve as their corporate counselor. I help them establish their entity, their business presence in the United States, or vice versa. I perform international transactions, which is my strongest point, doing international contracts. And I'll tell you when we get to the teacher part in a moment, how that's relevant. I advise on compliance with US regulations, such as export compliance, foreign corrupt practices, those kinds of things, and just provide whatever legal needs a foreign company might have as they enter the US market. For example, you may be hiring employees at some point. I can advise how that's done on in a legal sense, how you construct work rules governing the employment relationship. So there are a variety of things. Maybe a company wants to explore whether to establish a sales representation or to set up a network of distributors in the US. I can perform all of those contractual needs, putting those agreements in place under my legal hat. And yes, I love academia. My first teaching job was I was a professor of international law at West Point, that's the US Military Academy. But presently, I teach as an adjunct at Emory Law School. I have a course where I teach contracts drafting, how you actually write a contract, knowing all of the contract theories. And I had my class last night, as a matter of fact. And then at Georgia Tech, periodically, I teach a course in the MBA students on international business. And we focus on a particular country, and we work with startup companies, mostly IT companies in those countries, and we do consulting projects. I divide the students into teams. Each team is attached to a particular startup company, and they do a project throughout the semester, communicating with them several times per week and then reporting back in class, and I assist them with their direction and so forth. We did 2 of those programs in the past in Hungary, working with Hungarian startup companies. So that's a lot of fun. I enjoy teaching, and I like lecturing as a guest lecturer. I teach every semester 2 classes at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, in their business school. I fly up for a couple of days, and that's always a fun thing to do.
Thank you, John. We are very grateful for your legal help and support that you showed us. And from registering the legal entity in the US to opening the bank account, it was really, we got a lot of help from you, really. And I would also like to mention all the other legal matters with contract work you are continuously doing for us. It has been splendid, and thank you once again.
Well, thank you for that compliment. Believe me, it's been a real pleasure working with you, and it'll continue to be a pleasure to work with you. Some of the contract work that we've done most recently, it concerns an independent contractor whom Kinepict Safe Incorporated, that's the US entity that we established, whom Kinepict Safe Incorporated engaged to serve as a sales representative in a certain part of the United States. I won't go into those details, but there are other commercial matters that may for which Kinepict Safe may need legal advice or contract drafts as your business grows in the United States. For example, sales contracts to employment contracts. That's the full range of contractual services. And then, of course, we'll continue to provide whatever corporate assistance you need just to maintain your corporate presence in the United States and provide that kind of advice.
Thank you very much, John. I hope this is going to be a fruitful and growing collaboration. Melinda, tell me more about P&S. What is the mission and goal of this company?
So P&S International Strategies, we like to call ourselves a boutique consulting firm. And then I'm using boutique. I'm not sure if this word comes out in a meaning how we use it here in the US, but it means that, a personalized, because when you walk into a boutique to get a fitting, right, everything personalized. So this is why we call ourselves a boutique consulting firm. And then we specialize in strategic planning, strategic alliance, and then business partnerships, partnership development. So this is basically our mission, as John mentioned, that with his honorary consul work, that Hungary wasn't getting as much attention. Like there's a lot of German companies, a lot of Dutch companies here in the US, a lot of French companies, Italian companies, and then we really want Hungary in the map in the US too, that this is a Hungarian company. So that's basically our mission, and then also we would like to have American companies to discover Hungary. So that's our next mission. That's what we would like to accomplish. But basically, yeah, our objective, our goal is to assist companies to expand their presence in the international market here in the US. And then, yeah, later we would like to expand broader, but right now we're just focusing on Hungary and the US at the moment. And then, so we provide consultation services, implementation, long-term partnership development, customer acquisition strategies, ongoing business assistance, as John mentioned, as needed. Of course, the legal counsel, the tax accounting services, basically everything like human resources, real estate needs, and then also some funding and capital through investor network who we developed and know and work with. So that's in a nutshell what P&S is mission and then objective to. And then for me, it's dear to my heart to help Hungarian companies to come and experience the business culture here in the US, and then help them. And then it's not, John as an attorney does a lot of technical things. And then together we under P&S, yeah, we do also do technical things, but it's a lot of like extending our arm, you know, to our clients, to our partners to come, and then we're gonna help them. We are helping them to get through the US business culture, to guide them how things are working here, because it's a lot of similarities, but a lot of different things. How people work here and how do they do business, what they like, what they don't like. So I think it's very valuable when you come from another country and then you might be in vacation, but that's a different way of experiencing a country. Then when you come and you actually want to live and work, and then get into the business ecosystem. So that's our mission and our goal.
Can I add just something to what Melinda said? I think it's a point that's very important, where she made a reference to the fact that you know, we want to have the same sort of service available to Hungarian companies as, for instance, German or French companies and might have with their consulates in Atlanta. There's a big difference in what's available. If you have, for instance, there being an honorary consul that means that you're doing a job because you're passionate about it. I'm passionate about Hungary. I'm passionate about helping Hungarian companies, but it's not a compensated appointment. It's not a compensated position. I work and coordinate very closely, and Melinda works with me on this, and coordinating with the Hungarian trade offices, both in the Hungarian embassy in Washington and a separate trade office that Hungary has in New York City. But because of the volume of inquiries that they have, often those inquiries get referred to us by one of the trade offices. Here's somebody that might be interested in doing business in the Southeast United States. John, can you help them? Well, I can't, given that I have also a full-time job with a law firm and other activities. It means that I have limited time to help the dozens of Hungarian companies that may need assistance. That just can't be done, you know, for free. And so Melinda and I saw a need, and that's why we established P&S. But what's different about the honorary consulate and why our services are needed here in Atlanta is because consulates like the German consulate in Atlanta, the French consulate, the Swiss consulate in Atlanta, the Belgians, the Netherlands, those are much larger countries in terms of the trade that they have with the United States. And they have full-time paid offices of employees within their consulates that can help and dedicate their time full-time to assisting German or Dutch or French companies. So Melinda and I wanted to make that same level of service in some way available to Hungarian companies, because we felt that there was a real need there and a lot of potential coming from Hungary, especially with the innovation that we both saw. And we're, as you said, we're both passionate about doing business with Hungarian companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, John, for the real detailed explanation. Melinda, you have a lot of experience with several cultures. I also saw on the LinkedIn that you spent 1 year in China, which sounds very exciting to me. So how could you fit in all this into your life, and what was your experience in China?
Yeah, China was a really a lifetime experience, if I want to call it this way, a life-changing experience. After I got to the US for my university studies, of course, this was a culture shock. But then the US is very similar to the European culture. Of course, it's a mix of cultures, but in general, it's a very similar European, Western, I would say, culture here. But like Asia, China, it's totally different. And then I wanted to experience that. So thank you for asking this question. I got to China. I was in a master's program in international business at Concordia University, which I found this program through searching different opportunities, how I can go and experience China, not just being a tourist, because tourist is one thing. You go there for 2-3 weeks, and then you only see a little surface of a certain country or a certain region where you would like to go. But when you go and live and immerse yourself into the culture, and then you get to know people, and then you make friendships, that's a whole different other level. So I really wanted to experience this with China. And then in 2012, I got the opportunity to study in this program, which took me to China for a year. So it was part of this master's program where we were stationed in China. I was in Shanghai, which is like 20+ million habitat cities. So it's kind of like, okay, here in Atlanta, at that time, we were about 5 million people, like Atlanta and the metro area. I'm talking about the whole metro. So it's like, it's already twice the size of Budapest, which has like a 2 million habitat, right? So I came from Budapest to Atlanta, and then from here, I kind of felt like, oh, I think I need to go to a much bigger metropolis, a much bigger city. But this is just a joke. So I really wanted to go to China to experience the culture and the people and the business, their whole mindset. And then, so I did, I went, and I was there for a year. I actually taught in a local like college, where basically this was a private college where the objective of the students were to gain enough knowledge, not just English knowledge. I was teaching business classes, mainly marketing, negotiation, branding, management, like those sorts of classes in English. And then so these students, they would gain knowledge for 2 years, and then after that they would go to foreign universities. Like, for example, most of the students went to the UK because this particular college had a partnership with this other university in the UK. So that was, and then in that year, I traveled around China. The Chinese New Year, it's so beautiful. You get 3 weeks off, so everybody goes off and travel. I traveled the Southeast Asian region, the Philippines, Cambodia, Thailand, and then traveled around China as well. Of course, the Great Wall. I went to different other cities. Nanjing, which is Beijing, is the north. Bei, it means north, and Nan means south. So that was another big city. Hangzhou, it's a very cultural city close to Shanghai. So yeah, I got to travel around China to experience other Chinese, because the Chinese is very interesting. They are, pockets in China. Like there are the Shanghainese, and there are the people from the capital. They look up to the people from the capital so much, from Beijing. And then of course there's Hong Kong. They are totally different for of course all those political reasons. But so that was my experience. I got to learn Chinese a little bit. I felt if I would have stayed another year, I would have become mostly fluent in Chinese. In a year, I could just scrape by some basic sentences and basic discussion points, but I'm nowhere to be fluent. But what I did reach with this studying Chinese, that I can separate the word. When you hear a new language, everything is like one big one big jumbo mumbo, so-called, and then but now I can separate words when I hear somebody speak Chinese. So it's not flowing everything together. So yeah, that was my that was my Chinese experience. And then yeah, I'm not sure if you have any more questions, any deeper, but
thank you very much. So, it must have been a really exciting experience, according to what you say.
It is really a buzzing like Shanghai. Of course, things changed, but 10 years ago, Shanghai was a place to be. And then it's very European, because the Germans and the French established, and then there are some Hungarian aspect of the city too. I found a Hungarian architect built several buildings, very nice buildings in China. So yeah, it's a very European-like part of the city. It's very European-like, those European architecture, and then other part of the city, it's very Chinese, like the small narrow streets, those old Chinese town, and then you go in the back of the street, and then you see all sorts of livestock, which I'm not going to mention the kind of animal what I saw, but not just a regular chicken and duck and those sorts of things, a little more diverse, so-called. So yeah, it was time. It was very overwhelming, but I guess I got to make Shanghai my home pretty fast in that year.
Wow, very nice. And you'll visit Budapest. We are very excited in welcoming you both to Budapest next week. So can you tell the audience a little more about this business trip?
Thanks for your interest. This is something that we've wanted to do for some time, and Melinda and I put our heads together to organize a group, small group we wanted for this initial trip. Approximately 7 people are coming to Budapest. This mission involves both U.S., well, primarily U.S. Company representatives, but also some representatives of local government and state government development authorities. And we wanted them to familiarize them with business in Hungary. We wanted them to maybe find potential partners for the future. It has both an inbound, as we say, where Hungarians might want to invest in their counties or municipalities or establish a presence in the United States. We refer to that as inbound. And it also has an outbound purpose to bring this small delegation to Hungary, in that actually they're seeking information about companies in Hungary that may be interested in partnering with U.S. companies or attracting U.S. companies to go to Hungary and establish some kind of investment or business presence, as whether it's a partnership or whether it's a foreign direct investment or however. So it works both directions. And I think that's what makes the discussion kind of interesting. There's no substitute, we believe, for face-to-face interactions. We can do all kinds of email exchanges that may go on for months with potential partners in Hungary and potential partners for Hungarian companies in the US. But what really I think is the key to establishing the relationship is a face-to-face meeting. And we wanted the US participation to learn information about Hungary that they can bring back and talk to the companies that are in their constituencies, that is, in their municipalities or counties. So for that reason, we have briefings set up with Hungarian Export Promotion Agency. We have briefings and discussions with HIPA, or the Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency, so that we have both the inbound and outbound aspects covered. We also have meetings set up at the U.S. Embassy in Budapest with a commercial service that'll give an overview from the U.S. government's perspective of business relationships with Hungary. So we get both perspectives. We hope that they come together mostly in agreement, so that the Hungarian government perspective is similar, at least, to the U.S. government perspective on the ease of doing business and the potential of business relationships. But that's kind of an introduction. but we also want them to feel a bit of the culture and the general experience of Hungary. You know, these delegates, I think, have not been to Hungary before. So we have a tour organized or several events organized where they get to see some of Budapest. Actually, and I'm going to ask Melinda to address this, but we're going to have a site visit with one company outside of Budapest that's eager to host us. And we think that that site visit adds a component to this very brief agenda that allows them to see something that's not in the center of Budapest. You know, a little bit of Hungarian countryside, even though it's only a small portion. What I failed to mention when we were even coming, I think. We arrive in Hungary on September the 7th. We have full days of meetings on the 8th and the 9th. And then on the 10th, that allows everyone to have their tour that we set up. Plus then they have an afternoon to do whatever shopping or other sightseeing that they may want to do, visit a museum on their own, because they fly back to Atlanta on the 11th. So see, it's really too brief of a trip to do everything we would like to do. But at this time of the year, that's the only window that we all had available. We wanted to make sure that we could at least get a good group of people that could contribute to bilateral business between the U.S. and Hungary.
I would love these trade delegates to basically fall in love with Hungary and the people. So we're gonna make everything with our power to make that happen. And then yeah, this site visit, it's about 45 minutes to an hour from Budapest. This particular company who are already very interested in US expansion. So it's going to be a great way for them to introduce what they do, what their product is, what their innovation, and then hopefully these delegates can sell them on a location, on a US location, because that would be their objective. So yeah, we are excited. We are excited, and then very nervous as well. You know, so we hope.
Melinda, mention the keynote event where we're going to.
Oh, the keynote event. Yes, the keynote event is going to be on September 9th at the Budapest Marriott Hotel, networking event where all the Hungarian companies we invited who have really invested interest in expanding businesses in the US, or like they are actively, like Kinepict, actively working towards expansion and establishing legal entities and site selections, and then looking for investors and that sort of thing. So we have this networking event for the companies and the trade delegates to meet and then mingle with each other and get to know each other. And then just talk about business basically, or any personal things what they would like to share about them during this event.
Can I supplement one thing? Melinda mentioned that we were going to do a site visit one morning, that is the morning of the 9th, outside of Budapest. Without getting into too much detail, I just wanted to say this was a particularly interesting invitation that we had from a company to come visit them, because they're a small manufacturing company. So they're looking for a manufacturing location, possibly in the region that we're representing. And one of our delegates is from a county, economic development, that is looking to host Hungarian manufacturing facilities. So we've tried to match the delegate with the potential business. And so that one made a lot of sense, because you can actually then see by that visit the manufacturing processes that they use, and they get to know the county official that might assist them in establishing a presence. Another one of our delegates is from a municipality. He's the city manager of the municipality of Peachtree Corners, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And Peachtree Corners has a special center for attracting IT to their lab facilities. And in fact, they have set quite a few French companies, just for example, IT companies that are startup that have located a presence there. And so this is a perfect timing for that delegate to come to meet with Hungarian IT companies. We've heard that you may come to visit us sometime in Atlanta during the fall. We'd like to know about that second business trip that follows Julie's first business trip to Atlanta in very early July of this year.
Yes, our audience might not know this, but Kinepict's first ever business trip in the US was in Atlanta in June, and P&S supported us with arranging meetings with key opinion leaders and medical professionals. It was unbelievably useful. We are thrilled to do a second trip soon, and hopefully we will build on our previous visit and grow our relationships further. So I'm very excited about this.
Well, we're very excited you're coming. Of course, we'll work together to provide an agenda that will assist you in meeting your goals. On that first trip, P&S hosted Julie to Atlanta, and there was a combination of local thought leaders, whether they were business and government and also chambers of commerce, that provided some just initial advice, I think, that including even an individual who represents one of the largest banks that could assist with a bank account opening. So we had success there. We met with a hospital representative, but the time was limited and we'd like to do more and follow up on those leads for the second trip in the fall. Melinda, did you have anything to contribute to that?
Yes. We hope that Julie or you, Szabolcs, or Christian, or one of you who will make the trip, or all of you, will have maybe a little bit longer time than the first visit, so we can make a little more out of it to get to know more people in the community, in the medical health ecosystem here in Atlanta. So we're very excited to help with that organization and putting everything in place for Kinepict.
Yeah, John, thank you very much. John, you said initial help, but I'd rather say crucial help for what you gave us during the first trip. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the second trip, and hopefully it's going to be similarly useful and pleasant.
It will be. We'll ensure that that it provides the value you're seeking.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all our listeners for joining us today. And a very big thank to you, John and Melinda from P&S International Strategies, for sharing your thoughts and wisdom with us here. And as always, if anyone has any questions or comments about what we have discussed, be sure to get in touch with us. We are looking forward to catching you all next time as well. So thank you very much again, and bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.